Hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody. I'm Shamar Moore
I am Lake Moore.
with more capacity where the stretch is necessary.
Oh, my turn.
Yes.
Maturity. Ooh.
Perfection is not the measure.
About maturity is mandatory.
It's mandatory.
How are y'all doing? Hello. We are so glad you're here. We're excited about the conversation tonight, and we are already cutting up.
Already cutting
See that?
up.
Side by side.
Side by side. What's up? What's up? Already cutting up.
All right. Did you guys take the test? Did you do the assessment? Are you ready to get it in? Please let us know that you're here so that we can go ahead and start the conversation. All right. Here we go. Let's see who's in the room. Hi, Yana.
Hi, Yana.
You ready? You are in here. All right. Where's Daniel? Tonight we're talking about quality time as well. So before we, hey,
what's up, Cuzzo? I just said your name before the live.
He did. He declared that he was going to say
and
your name.
And here you are, pop up in the live. That's what I'm talking about, Cuzzo. Much love to you, bro.
All right, we're going to get started. We want you to come in. We believe that this is a great conversation. Hi, Jasmine. Good to see everybody on Instagram, Facebook. We're on 4 platforms, so please like and share. This conversation is good. And last week, thank you for your patience. We were on location, and we had some technical difficulties, but we are back, and we are ready. All right.
Ready. So, who should be here? You.
Wait, which camera? You and you?
You and you.
Yep.
What are we talking about? The 5 Love Languages by Dr. Gary Chapman. Why? You ask why. And so the reason why we're talking about it is to strengthen and build relationships.
Right. We talked about earlier, like, why are we doing this? Is this just something for frivolous time? But the truth of the matter is, you guys, is we have been inside and relationships are being tested. Point blank. They're being tested in good ways, and some, unfortunately, in not so good ways. And we want to acknowledge, of course, those that may not be in the best of situations. We're not going to take that for granted, that there are some people who may need a way out. Do what you need to do. Okay, this is by no means saying just stay and take. Please understand that. But this is something that is good for all relationships. As you come in here, please take a moment, like and share. We believe this will be beneficial to so many people. So we're going to go ahead and get started. If your love language is, yes, that's why. If your love language is QT, pop it in. Put it in the chat so we'll know, and then we'll know, of course, how you're able to talk about this and share tonight. We want you to share. That's what it's about right here. This is why we're doing it, to strengthen and build relationships. Thank you for that. All right, let's dive in. So if you have the book, of course, let us know. But then, too, if you've taken a moment to take the assessment, also let us know if your love language is quality time.
We want to spend quality time with you.
We're so corny.
Yeah, corny. But that's why we're here, to spend quality time with you.
All right. Last week we talked about words of affirmation, and then this week we're going to talk about QT. And QT is completely different. So let's say if your spouse's his first love language is words of affirmation, then what happens if your spouse his love tank is full because you've acknowledged that and you're affirming him, and you have your notepad. Remember, you have your notepad so that you can go ahead and start writing things down and being conscious about sharing those words of affirmation. But what happens, so his is words of affirmation, but mine isn't. So his love tank is full, and I'm like, blah. Meh. It's not doing nothing for me. Nothing. Hi, Kimberly. Glad you're here. We got a shout out. Ayana's QT over here. And so that is so cool. Good evening. Good evening. All right. So we know, let's jump into it. We're going to go through the steps. If you don't have the book, hey, you still have time. There's some other chapters that we can do. But if you do have the book, then we're going to highlight steps that we can take. Because the truth of the matter is this, is that we can have the steps, but we have to apply it.
We definitely have to apply it.
All right. So here we go. Write this down. The first thing in quality time is, you going to say it?
Sure. The first thing in quality time is giving someone your undivided attention.
Oh, I'm ahead of the game. Yep.
Yes, you're ahead of the game.
I'll take
quality
it down.
time is giving someone your undivided attention, because there's a difference between being in the same proximity. But if I'm watching TV and she's trying to talk, even though we're in the same space, that's not giving her quality time. And I'm not giving her my undivided attention. We're just in the same space, or we're sharing the same space or proximity.
Right.
But quality time is saying, hey, honey, I want to hear what you have to say, but if you give me a couple of moments, I promise you, I will give you my undivided attention.
And I don't know about you guys, we're using a phone right now, but cell phones, I know for us, it is a huge distractor. We can be side by side, or if we're in the car and he's wanting to talk or do something, and I'm answering emails, and although we're in the car, I have to be conscious and aware to say, this is not giving him his undivided attention. I mean, well, my undivided attention. Anybody else guilty of that? Does your spouse or your children say, can you put the phone down? Like Erykah Badu said, I'm going to make you put your phone down.
Right. I have to ask her that on road trips, because it's like, soon as we get in the car, it's one or two things she would do. Either she'll check all her messages on her phone, or she will take a nap.
Oh.
And so between those two things, sometimes I don't get my QT time in on the road.
Yeah, but what? I'm tired.
That makes me feel some kind
of way. That? Boom. Hey,
here we go. Hey.
We have to be conscious of that. All right. Yes, you know I sleep. Hi, Dion. Good to see you. Good to see you. So quality time, defined simply, means giving someone your undivided attention, all in, all focus, intentionally. Okay, intentionally. So here we go. What does that look like? Now that we know what quality time is, this is the first. Remember last week we talked about how even words of affirmation has different dialects. We understand, we hear, we process things differently. It's the same way here. It's the same way here. Okay. Hey, Jasmine. Same way. The first thing is togetherness. There's different types of quality time, and this is how we focus. Y'all ready? All right. Remember, if you come in here and as you pop in, go ahead and stay a little while, like and share. Togetherness, it means it's a central aspect of quality time is togetherness, or the central aspect. It says, don't mean proximity. Togetherness has to do with focused attention, which is exactly what he just said. So let's go down to the next one. The next one is quality conversation.
Yes, quality conversation. Crucial to someone with high QT. It's different from words of affirmation. I want you to experience thoughts, feelings, and desires in a safe place.
So literally, it's like, I don't want to hear you. I want to feel you. I want more than just you being by me. Conversation stimulates the mind. And I'm not saying it's not the same for men, but I definitely believe, for women, we want to know, like, what's going on in your head. What you can tell me what you're thinking all day, but I want to know what you feel. No, I want to know what you feel.
Right. And many of us are trained to analyze problems and create solutions. We forget that marriage is a relationship, not a project to be completed or problem to solve.
How many times, and I know, sometimes men will say, look, we're problem solvers. Just tell us the situation. We're going to give you the answer and do as I tell you to do. Just go do it and be done with it. And if you don't do it, don't come back and ask me again. But that's the whole thing is that a lot of times we're coming, or he may come and vice versa. We're coming not to look for a solution. We we just need to express ourselves. We need to talk it out. We need to know that you are willing to stop and listen. You're shaking your leg.
Sorry. Shaking the leg.
Yeah. So he's shaking the thing. It's about to fall off, y'all. You don't even. But okay, so that's it. Remember that, as it says, many of us are trained to analyze problems and create solutions. We forget that marriage is a relationship, not a project to be completed or problem to solve. Remember, we talk about it's not looking for best, it's making sure that every day we look to be better. Quality conversations.
Quality conversation is focusing on hearing and not saying.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes that's the most challenging part, is that when, our spouse want to talk, we hear part of it, and then we just go into trying to solve the problem or give them a solution to whatever it is that they share with us, instead of actually listening and being sympathetic. Because a lot of times what they want is just the air. They need to vent, they need to get stuff off their chest. But we can be dealing with stuff or have a lot on our mind, and so it's like almost like hurry up and get to it. And it's more to it than that. It's not just trying to solve the problem, like as stated on the screen earlier. It's about listening, being sympathetic, being understanding,
and being patient. Another part of that, the quality conversations, please know that we process differently. And some people are ponderers and some people are quick processors. And what that looks like, or an example of that, is we can have a disagreement, or we can be discussing something, anything, finances, future, whatever it may be. And he may process it really, really fast and be ready to talk about it. But me, I need a night to sleep on it. I need to make sure that it makes sense. I want to order it in my head and then go back and have the conversation. Well, because he processes really quick and I need to ponder, he might be like, look, we need to get to this.
Yeah, let's get it done.
And I'm like, well, hold on a second. And it doesn't mean that he's right and I'm wrong, or I'm right and he's wrong. We're different.
Right, we're different. And it gives, the person that's pondering an opportunity to look at the situation or circumstances from all aspects, and not just, focus on like, tunnel vision. Like, I see it this way and that's just it. But a person that ponders, and take their time to analyze and dissect, what the situation is, they have time to think about it. So they say, hey, I hear what you're saying. Here's a few ways we can tackle this situation, instead of just boom, 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 boom. That's it.
So one thing that you can think about, I think that helps, is, let's say if you do have that, and one person is a ponderer and one person is a processor, then be intentional about setting up a time to talk about it later. And what that means, like, okay, so he does it really fast and then I'm slower. He's like, okay, he needs time. Well, I need time, but he doesn't. So be intentional about saying, I know this is what he may say to me. And a lot of times he does. You may not be ready to talk about it now. Can we set some time tomorrow? 24 hours. Will you be ready in 24 hours to have a conversation about these things, because they're concerning me, right? And in a relationship, nobody wants to go to bed heavy, and it's not fair. You don't want that to happen, but go ahead and make sure that's clear. Okay, in 24 hours, we're going to revisit this and we're going to have a conversation.
In the process, it may take a little bit more than 24 hours. See, we as men, and even some women, we're thinking, all right, we need to get this problem resolved ASAP. Let's not waste time or let it linger. It's just like the saying, don't put off what you could do today for tomorrow. So a lot of times when we're thinking in those terms, like, all right, listen, we need to go ahead and find a solution. That's how it is. But the process say, hold on. Yes, I agree with you with finding the solution, but there can be a couple of solutions. You're just looking at it from one aspect.
Oh, yeah. All right. So the next thing then that is really helping, and this one's deep, you guys, because on so many different levels, this shows up. Lean in just a little bit, babe. There was a conversation about how childhood never ends. You guys repeat that again. Childhood
Never
never ends.
ends.
Sometimes the stuff that you may deal with in your childhood, it shows right back up in your relationships.
That's true. Just like in adulthood, like for example, when we were kids, especially those who came from humble beginnings, a lot of times it either was no or not right now. And in situations like that, not that the parent was trying to be mean, because each case is judged upon his own merit. But if you're not careful, that child begins to start denying how they really feel because the parent have to give them these excuses or this explanation of why they can't buy a toy or why they can't do this or do that. And so when a child's like, dog, it pretty much doesn't give them an opportunity to expect because, like, listen, ain't no need to get my hopes up high if I'm not gonna get it. And then they grow up with that same mentality and attitude. Well, I've heard that I'm gonna do this for you or do that, and then people don't come through, and it just over a period of time you grow to become numb to it in that particular area where it's like, oh, if you do, cool, but if not, it's all good because I'm not expecting it.
The learning to talk part is so true, like he said, because we learn how to talk or how to express our emotions in the safe place of our home or in our childhood. So what does that mean and what does that look like? Like he was saying, if you go to your parents and you ask for something, most of the time you expect to receive emotional support, mental support, spiritual, financial, those types of things. But what happens when it's always no? Somewhere in you something dies and you just say, I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm
Right.
not going to expect, I'm not going to ask. Just forget it. This is my safe zone. So what happens if your spouse is like that? When you always ask them, how are you doing? Am I? Am I? And you don't get anything. What do those steps look like? So learning to talk, it says begin by noting the emotions you feel away from home. If you are that person, if you have been that person, if you know someone like that, then here's something that you can share with them. Um, by noting the emotions you feel away from home. The book talks about something very simple. Let's say if you're driving to work and somebody cuts you off and you're angry, it's different when you come home and you say, well, how was your day? Well, it was good, but somebody cut me off. That sounds one way. But what if you end up saying, I was angry because somebody cut me off and I wanted to follow them and give them a piece of my hand. you know it's completely different, although it might seem funny and small, but you tie an emotion and you tie a feeling to that, and whomever you're talking to, your spouse can say, oh, I understand how you felt, instead of just saying, it was good, it's all right. So something that you can do, and we challenge you, get a notebook, and maybe 3 times a week, if you have issues, male or female, husband or wife, whomever, expressing your emotions. Before you can start expressing it to someone else, you get to practice on learning how to speak them and acknowledge them to yourself.
Right. And if we may go back just one moment,
Yep, of course we can.
most recently I was preparing for an interview and I had to do a PowerPoint presentation. Now, I wasn't as comfortable doing a PowerPoint presentation as I am now. And so when I was expressing that to my wife, she automatically thought, hey, let me just give you the solution. No, I needed you to listen.
Yeah.
I needed you to be sympathetic. And yes, the outcome was yes, there was a solution. I've learned how to go through the PowerPoint. I know how to, present it and things of those nature. So something good did come out of it. But however, at that moment, I needed her to listen, not be a problem solver for me.
Does anybody else do that? Does anybody do that? Does anybody in here, are you the one who you could use working on your language and identifying your emotions and seeing what that looks like? Because the next part of that is there really may not be an issue with your spouse or someone that you love. It really might just be that you have different personality styles, and that is completely okay. I am the self proclaiming introverted extrovert in the house. Y'all believe that I'm an introvert extra? Why are you gonna shake your head? You supposed to be on my side. The introverted extrovert. Um, but everybody else, they are an I. If you've taken Myers Briggs, they are the I, definitely the I. And I am an E, but I am a very close marginal E. Let's see. Nope. Got another call out. Seriously. But it might just be their different personality types. It might be that he is very reserved and I am very pretty much free. And what I mean by that is open to just talking and do those types of things. So personality styles looks like this. One way to learn new patterns is to establish a daily sharing time in which each of you will talk about 3 things that happened to you that day and how you feel about them. Being intentional about having conversations. You guys, I don't know about you, but just because we've been in the house for the past, 7 months, doesn't mean that we're really spending time together.
That is true, because again, it's the difference between being in the same proximity but not spending time. And even though you're in the house together, you can still have these conversations, like you were saying, these 3 things that you talk about, because most of us have the ability to work from home or work remote, as they would say. And so it still, need to be asked by your spouse, how's your day? How's your morning? How did everything, or how did the meeting go? You don't just, because, I'm in the house, I'm with her all day, every day, so I don't feel like talking right now. Again, the quality conversations, the quality time, it all makes a difference in strengthening and building your relationship. You learn how to communicate, because even as adults, some of us to this day still don't know how to communicate because things that affected us in our childhood.
Ooh-wee.
And so at times when we want to ask for something, we don't know how to ask. And so we start acting out, and we expect for our spouse to be able to read our mind, to say, hey, in other words, like, this is what's wrong with them, A, B, C, D, F, G. No, you have to learn how to open your mouth and ask, hey, I need a hug. Can you hold me? Can you kiss me on my forehead? Whatever it may be.
I feel like you talking to me.
No, I'm
not.
But
you ain't talking to me.
I'm trying to help somebody. I'm trying to help somebody because it's true. You just can't take it for granted that because we're adults that we know how to communicate. Some of us still don't know how to communicate effectively to our spouse or even to our children.
Oh yeah. And this is what this is about. We talked about why. Why is that literally once we understand individualistically what it is that we need communicated to us for love. When you go into any relationship, you can ask them, hey, what is your love language? This is mine. And then you get to know, is this going to be time invested or not? You get to make a choice. The personality type, though, in the scenario that was used, if you have the book, or if you don't, it's the Dead Sea and the Babbling Brook. Okay, so come on, let's take a poll. Who do you think in our relationship is the Dead Sea and the Babbling Brook? In memory of good old the Jeopardy man. Do 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 do. Any takers? Who's the Dead Sea and who's the Babbling Brook in our relationship? Anybody? Come on, type it in. Who do you think? Any take. Communication is key. You are so right, Jasmine. It is. It is right. All right. Well, let me tell you what it is. The Dead Sea personality type is the person that receives all the information. They listen to the other party. They take it all in, but they don't really give back. Right. You think about the Dead Sea. It literally takes everything in. It doesn't really give back. But oh, he's the Dead Sea, and you're the best.
That will be correct. Oh, wait. I take it all in.
And the Babbling Brook is the one who really, whatever they see and they hear, it just freely flows. It just freely flows. Little Rose, oh girl. But And the thing about the personality differences is literally the Dead Sea can get all that information, all of it, all of it, all of it, but they're not giving anything. And so you can be in a relationship for, we've been together for almost 20 years. And it would be terrible to get to year number 18, Lena, just a little bit, about year 18 or 20 and realize, okay, the babbling brook, well, the Dead Sea knows everything about the babbling brook.
But the babbling brook doesn't know anything about the Dead Sea.
Nothing. Or they know too much, right? It's like, okay, you can keep that. But ironically, in our relationship, well, I do talk, but I am the Dead Sea, maybe outside more of our relationship, because you do. I take it in, but then I give it all to you.
Yeah, she give it all to me.
So, Lennon Rose, you are a winner. You are a winner. Yes, indeed. But being aware of that, and again, getting to the point to when you realize it that there's nothing wrong with our different personality styles. They complement each other.
It does complement each other. It brings a type of balance, because to where I'm not as talkative as much. She holds wonderful conversations, and there's times where I might initiate the conversation or bring up a good topic, and it sparks a stimulating conversation. But for the most part, she's the babbling brook, and I'm the Dead Sea. But again, it is a balance, because I've learned a lot just from listening.
Oh,
because sometimes some of us do more talking than we do listening, and which can really help us in our relationships. Because we think we know everything.
That's true. That's true. So what you do is whichever one you are, just take a moment and then learn from the other one. You always have time to correct, right? If you're the babbling brook and if the Dead Sea, however it may be, you can learn from each other. Be intentional about listening. All right. This is the fun one. Again, we're talking about quality time. There's 5 different dialects, even within that. This is the second love language. If you're just joining us, hello. Please, if you have a replay, make sure you like and share. The last one, quality activities. And again, if you are QT, this may fall differently for you. One of these might speak to you more than the others, but make sure once you identify it that you speak it clearly to your spouse so they know what you expect. Quality activities, what's that?
They provide a memory bank from which to draw in the years ahead.
Yes. So that classifies as one, you have at least one person that wants to do it. The second thing is that the other person is willing to. And then the third one is
you both know why.
And that is because you want to spend time together. And that's all it is. It can be anything. It could be taking a walk. We love that. We absolutely do. It could be taking a walk, or
it could be sports. I'm not a sports fanatic, but she is. But enjoy doing the sport. Well, it's not so much about the sport as much as it is spending quality time with her.
Right. Whatever the activity is incidental. It doesn't matter as long as you remember why you're doing it. It is simple and it doesn't even matter at all. Just make sure that you're doing it. So with that being said, if you are married, if you're single, whatever state that you're currently in, and as you're prepping for that next phase of life, we challenge you for the husbands and the wives. If your spouse's love language is QT, they've already told you what they need from you. They've told you, oh, I want to go to a game, or I want to learn how to dance, or I want to go see Layla Hathaway in concert again.
Yes.
It might be things that you don't want to do, but when you do it, you'll be able to look back and you'll be able to share those memories forever.
Forever. And again, not to sound redundant, it's more about spending quality time than it is about anything else. So it's more about the quality time than it is about the basketball game or the jazz fest or whatever it is that your spouse like to do that you may not particularly care for doing. It's more, the focus is the quality time. doing it with her, if she's your wife, doing it with your husband, so that way, you have that quality activity in place.
Oh, yeah. This is the question that we leave for you, and this is the exercise for anyone within a relationship. Please do the exercise. Do it. Do the homework. Take this. Go back and watch it. If your spouse is not with you, watch it with them. Make sure you take the assessment. Start the conversations. This is all about strengthening and building relationships, building marriages, yeah, creating a new legacy of victory, because it's up to us. We have to be intentional. But this is the question that we charge you to ask your husband or your wife. I feel most loved when my husband or when my wife does, okay, or I feel loved most when my husband or wife, wait, I'm not reading it, hold on, let me read the question like I wrote it. I feel most loved by my husband or wife when, there you go. Or it can be even with your children. I feel loved by my mother and father when, ask the question, be intentional, be intentional. All right.
All right.
Yes.
Yes, so we look forward to seeing you either later on this week or next week, but discussing the next chapter. And again, we do this to strengthen and build relationships. Actually, it's strengthening and building our relationship, because as we read these chapters, we're discussing it of, oh, I remember growing up as a child and feeling this way and not being able to express myself, or vice versa. Just it sheds light on so many things, um, that you can look from childhood or even in your adulthood. And so, you don't want to just take it for granted, just from experiences, because they say experience is the best teacher, and that may not always be true. But this book here is an eye opener. So, don't just read it and not apply it. Make sure you apply it, because you will see the results, especially when you learn the language. Even if you're speaking the language, but it's a different dialect, please, it will yield results.
Yeah. What do we want to do? We want to be fluent, fluent in our
And,
language,
and we want to celebrate our wins.
and not wait to win. Celebrate our WINs and not wait to WHEN. So that's the goal. We want to be fluent in the language of love as it speaks to the heart of our spouses.
And we want to be consistent.
Yes, and authentic, right? With
Right.
integrity.
With integrity, no breaks in between.
Yes.
Consistent.
Yeah, we can't say we gonna read it and then we get on here and ain't read.
No, it ain't ready. We have to read it and apply it, because as you read it, you will begin to, remember some of the situations you dealt with, whether it was first married, in the middle of the marriage, or where you are now, depending on how long you've been married.
All right.
All right. So
next week, it's what's in the box. If gifts is your language, then join us. Any questions before we go, though, tonight? Any questions? Any questions? The chat box is open. All right. Any questions at all?
Any questions? Well, if all hearts and minds are clear.
We might take them a second, like to type.
Okay.
But definitely, if you have a question, we'll hold on for a second. And as before we sign off, I want to tell you one thing, something for us that has really blessed us. We have a signature song. Does anybody else have a signature song, or a song that it triggers and it says, okay, stop everything. This is what you do. Oh, cool. Yes. So Dion, the name of the book, this is the question that just popped up. Thank you for asking the question. See there, we were about to sign off, but you help us stay engaged. I appreciate that. The name of the book is The 5 Love Languages by Dr.
Gary Chapman.
See, that's necessary. I was about to say Dr. Chapman, but I need to get his first name too. But you got that? So somebody type it in, if you will, if you're still on here. It is The 5 Love Languages by Dr. Gary Chapman. Yep. But we have a signature song. And throughout the day when we're here, he knows that quality time is good for me, but it's also acts of service. So he will just automatically just start this song. And I know I don't care what I'm doing. I stop so that we can dance. And even if it's 3 minutes, it's intentional and he's fluent in my language. All right. So be fluent in your language. Take the time, get your tongue right. Yay! Thank you so much. You guys are awesome. Thank you, Lynn and Rose. Thank you guys for being here. I am Mrs. Moore.
And I am Mr. Moore with more capacity.
Where the
stretch is necessary. Perfection is not the measure.
But maturity is mandatory. Remix. You guys have a wonderful night. Be intentional and speak the language of love. I know I'm corny. Bye. Bye.